Look at your life right now. The real one, not the highlight reel. Every single thing in it, your body, your bank account, your energy, the people around you, is sitting at exactly the level you've decided to accept. That's not an insult. It's the most powerful thing you'll hear today. Because if your standards built the life you have, then new standards can build a different one. And in the next 15 minutes, I'm going to show you exactly how. Here's the line I want burned into your head. You do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your standards. Your goals are what you want. Your standards are what you'll accept. And when the gap between those two gets big, that gap becomes your frustration, your disappointment, the gnawing feeling that you're capable of more than you're living. Close the gap, and everything changes. That's the whole game today. First, understand the difference, because most people confuse the two their whole life. Goals are loud. You announce them. You post them January 1st. You feel amazing setting them. Standards are quiet. Nobody claps for a standard. A standard is what you do at 6 a.m. when you're tired and nobody's watching and there's no motivation left in the tank. A standard is what you accept when you're exhausted and it would be so easy to let it slide. And here's why this matters. Goals are about the future, which means they never actually make you do anything today. Standards are about right now. You can want to be in shape and still eat like garbage tonight, because the goal lives in the future, and the standard lives in this moment. The future never arrives, only this moment ever arrives. So the person with big goals and low standards stays exactly where they are, forever, wondering why wanting it so badly never changed anything. Now let me show you how you got here, because you didn't wake up one day and choose your current life. You signed a contract, one tiny signature at a time. The first time you hit snooze and told yourself it didn't matter, you signed. The first time someone treated you badly and you let it slide to keep the peace, you signed. The first time you said, "I'll start Monday," you signed. Every one of those felt small, forgivable, nothing. But your brain was taking notes the whole time, and the note it wrote was this: our word doesn't mean anything. We say things, and then we don't do them. That's the real damage. It was never about one skipped workout. It's about what skipping trained you to believe about yourself. You slowly became a person who negotiates with their own standards. And here's the brutal truth. A person who negotiates with their standards doesn't have standards. They have suggestions. And the world can smell the difference on you from a mile away. So here's the shift. And I need you to actually take this in instead of nodding and scrolling. Stop trying to raise your motivation. Motivation is a feeling, and feelings lie. Motivation shows up loud on the good days and vanishes the second you actually need it. You cannot build a life on something that abandons you every time it gets hard. Raise your minimum instead. Your minimum is your worst day, not your best day. Anybody can perform on their best day. Your minimum is what you still do when you're tired, unmotivated, stressed, and nobody would blame you for quitting. Because your life isn't decided by your best days. It's decided by your worst ones. If your worst workout is still 20 minutes, you never fully fall off. If your worst eating day is still not a disaster, you never spiral. If your worst response to disrespect is still a boundary, people learn exactly how to treat you. That's the secret the winners know that nobody says out loud. They have unusually high floors. They're not extraordinary every day. They just refuse to have a terrible day. Raise the floor, and the whole building rises with it, automatically, without needing willpower or a perfect mood. So, how do you raise it? Not by fixing everything Monday morning. That's where everyone blows it. They get inspired, try to overhaul their entire life at once, and by Wednesday the whole thing collapses, and they feel worse than when they started. One standard. Pick one and make it completely non-negotiable. Maybe it's I don't hit snooze. My feet hit the floor when the alarm goes off. Maybe it's the gym isn't a decision, it's a fact, like my name. Maybe it's I don't talk down to myself out loud. 1. And here's the rule that makes it work. It never moves. Not when you're tired, not when it's raining, not when you had a hard day and you deserve a break. Especially not then. Because the power was never in how big the standard is. A tiny standard you hold without exception will change you faster than a massive goal you abandon in a week. The magic is that it doesn't move. One standard you never break teaches your brain something it hasn't believed in a long time, that your word means something again. And once your brain believes that about one thing, it starts believing it about everything. That's how you rebuild trust with yourself, one kept promise at a time, until you become someone whose word is law, starting with the laws you make for yourself. Here's something else nobody warns you about. When you raise your standards, some people in your life won't clap. They'll get weird. They'll poke at it. They'll say you've changed, like it's an insult. Understand what's happening. Your old standards were an agreement between you and everyone around you. When you raise yours, you break that agreement, and it forces them to look at their own. Some people can't handle that mirror. So watch closely when you start leveling up. The ones who celebrate it are your people. The ones who mock it just told you exactly who they are. And this cuts the other way too. You will never consistently rise above the standards of the room you spend the most time in. If everyone around you accepts mediocre, mediocre will feel normal, and normal is the strongest force on earth. So part of raising your standards is being honest about your environment. But you have to stop pretending the people who quietly drag you down are neutral. Nothing in your life is neutral. Everyone around you is either raising your standard or lowering it. Start being honest about which is which. Now understand what's really at stake, because this was never about a cleaner room or a better workout. This is about who you become. 5 years from now, you will be someone. That's not a question. The time is coming, whether you use it or waste it. The only question is whether that person is the result of your standards or the result of your excuses. Picture both of them. One kept tolerating everything, kept saying next week, kept negotiating with their own alarm clock, and they're not miserable. That's the scary part. They just quietly made peace with less. That's the person low standards build. Comfortable and slowly disappearing. The other one drew one line and refused to move it, raised their minimum, kept their word to themselves until it became who they are. And here's the wild part. Both of those people are real possibilities sitting inside you right now, in this exact moment. And you're choosing between them today. Today, with what you're willing to accept in the next 24 hours. So here's your one job before this video ends. Don't try to remember everything I said. Just do one thing. Name the single standard you've been letting slide the longest. The one you already thought of 3 times while I was talking. You know exactly what it is. Now decide, right here, that it's non-negotiable. Not managed, not I'll try. Non-negotiable. That's the whole game. It was never motivation. It was one standard, held without exception, until it rebuilt who you are. That's all discipline has ever been, a promise to yourself you refuse to break, repeated until it becomes your identity. Is this hit something in you? Subscribe, because everything on this channel is built to make you the standard version of yourself, the one you already know you're supposed to be. Drop the one standard you're making non-negotiable in the comments. Put it where you can't take it back. Now go raise your minimum. I'll see you in the next one.